go. Okay, so in today's episode of mental health, of men's mental health, I've got someone I know very close to me by the name of Uncle Umar, who is going to be talking about his own experience with mental health, how it's affected him, especially during this lockdown. If he could talk, if he could give one or two examples where his mental health has been up and down, and if he can just give some advice and why he feels that mental health is such a stigma, especially in men and especially in the Black/Asian community. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce you my Uncle Umar. So, Uncle Umar, thank you for coming on to my podcast.
You're welcome.
So, we're just going to get right into it. So, why do you think there is such a stigma in terms of mental health when it comes to men, and especially when it comes to the Black/Asian community?
I think I looked at the definition of mental health from World Health Organization.
Okay.
It says it's defined as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, and also can work productively and fruitfully as able to make contribution to his or her own society. Now, it's okay when you can deal with stress of life, normal stress of life. But as we know, not just what we're facing today in the last 12 months, this is not quite normal stress of life. It's beyond normal stress of life. And as people, men, women, we handle things differently. My belief is that as we have to be able to be in touch, the reason why Black people do not, or men does not express how they feel or share how they feel, and this might affect their mental state. They can, when they have problems, whether it's financial, health, they cannot express or share it or with friends and families and people around them. And I think that contributes to the thing, they bottle it in. And when you bottle things in, you keep it to yourself. Sometimes it's good to keep things to yourself, but sometimes it's good to express how you feel. I think we as men in general, but Black men in particular, we are not very, very good in expressing how we feel emotionally, even to our own wives, to our own children, to our own friends and family, or people around us. I don't know, maybe because we feel that people will mock us or we're not coping very well. But it's not to do with how you cope, it's to do with how human beings, we're all vulnerable in one way or the other. And the earlier we realize that every problem we have, we are not alone in it. Somebody else have experienced or have had that problem. The quicker we can try and address this sort of thing and bring it into the open. Once we brought it in the open, we can deal with it.
So you said bring it in the open. So in your opinion, how can we bring it in the open? Like what kind of changes needs to happen before we can bring it in the open?
I guess it's you can start with, as they say, charity begins at home. You can start talking to people close to you. You can. It's not all about bringing in the open. It's not all about when it's in the media. It could be talking to your loved ones, talking to your friends, being more in touch with your friends, and expressing whenever you have a problem or something not going quite well in your life, good and bad. Share with people around you and friends around you. And also just understanding that whatever it is that is going on in your life, you're not alone. The problem is that if you start asking people how they feel, you realize that the same problem you're having, social, emotional, health, everything goes on with everybody. Most people are suffering the same problems, but because they don't speak out doesn't mean that they don't have that problem. You get a point? So bringing it open is purely discussing it and talking about it.
So, you know, like, because when you were talking now, like, so, like, you know, like, I don't know if you had this, but I know, like, for me, like, with my dad, he's like, he said to my brother, oh, you know, at a young age, oh, when I'm gone, or when I've gone out, like, you're the man of the house now. So, like, when a dad says that to a young boy and puts that much pressure on the young boy, do you think that psychologically, do you think that has something to do with the young boy's mental health? I'm thinking, okay, well, I can't break down because I'm supposed to be the man of the house. I'm supposed to be protecting my mom, protecting my sisters and others, and all my other siblings. So, do you think that impact of the father or whoever said that to the boy, do you think that has contributed to men's, especially men, but black men's mental health? Do you think that word contributes to, you know, the later development of the mental health?
Of course, there is one of the things that I'm not an expert in this field, but I've done a couple of research, and what I find is that some of the key causes of mental health or that affect mental health among people, obviously, people in general, is childhood abuse or trauma or neglect. One, social isolation or loneliness. Two, social disadvantages, which could create poverty and debt. Severe long-term illness, unemployment, and bereavement, losing loved ones. As you can see, it's a long list, but the top one is childhood abuse, or any, which is why it is important that we must protect our children and the youngsters as they grow up, because they don't have the same mental strength as we adults, whether you're a man or woman, but more or less on black young boys or black young people. Yes, that responsibility, the responsibility of a father or a mother should not be novated to a child. Sometimes that is part of the childhood trauma, and that could cause problem growing up as an adult, having this incredible amount of responsibility. They lose their childhood. And once you lose that childhood, it's difficult to recover it. Yes, I agree. It is a contributory factor to that affect mental health in general, particularly for Black people and the ethnic minority.
So
does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So again, so like in terms of, so are you saying that like with the younger generation coming up now, so like people like your age shouldn't put so much burden and stress on the younger generation, because again it's just a cycle that will keep on repeating itself?
Yeah, I guess it's we have again, coming to the ethnic minority, I think we have incredible amount of expectation on our children, and the quest for them to be highly successful and do well.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that as a black ethnicity or Asian, why is it that there is, why is there so much pressure? What is it like? You need to explain to me, because like even my dad, like when I was growing up, it was like, oh, you know, because them doctors saved you, you need to be a doctor, or you know, or so what is it? Why is there so much pressure?
Okay, we come from a society or group of people that success is how much you earn, what car you drive, what house you live in. I mean, it's humanity. We want to be successful. But because of our social background, it is very, very important that we do well, i.e., every mom and dad wants to be proud of their children, how successful they are, whether they are, and certain profession attracts prestige. Being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a member of the parliament, for example, or having a lot of big house and big car, and but that also, this is a kind of passport out of poverty. And then if you can get yourself out of that poverty, then suddenly the prestige is higher, your peers will respect you, the family will be respected. But unfortunately, we have come to the realization that it's not all about what you do, it's what title you have and what kind of money you bring into your family or what car you drive. It's all about material things. Now, as you can see, that puts a lot of pressure. I mean, I have my children, my 4 boys, who come to me every day, said, Daddy, I want to do this. I said, look, I want to be, it's all about what car they want to drive and what profession they want to do. My advice to them is, do something you enjoy doing, because once you do something you enjoy doing, suddenly, when you do the job you love and do it well, of course, you make money. It doesn't matter whether you're cleaning the street or you are an architect or you're a doctor or you're a lawyer. It doesn't mean that being a lawyer or a doctor or any high-profile profession translates to high earning. There are people who are in finance, who are in IT, who are in, who set up their own businesses, builders, and who even plumbers, who are equally successful, who achieve financial benefits more than doctors and lawyers. So it's not what the profession you go into, is how passionate and how much you want to do well in that profession. And that translates to success, so to say.
So let me ask you a question. You just mentioned you've got 4 boys. So if your youngest boy came to you now and said, Daddy, I want to, I don't know, work in McDonald's for the rest of my life, would you be okay with that?
Okay, let me put this bluntly. I encourage my children to do well. I don't put any pressure on them, because that pressure can be damaging. You can push them to be a medical doctor or a lawyer. Along the way, they might not enjoy that profession, and they won't be successful in that profession, even if you coerce them to take that profession. I believe that whether you want to work in McDonald's, you want to sweep the street, you want to be a builder, but do it well. Throw everything, all your life into it. With time, you'll see success. But if parents, I think I would discourage any parents from forcing forcing any child to take up any profession just because you want to glorified in that profession, or you want to show off with your children, or talk to your peers and friends how successful, whether you have 4 lawyers or 4 doctors, or your daughter or son is this and that. The key thing is for them to be happy, because happiness translates to success. And also, whatever they do and enjoy doing, they can do 24 hours and they can put everything they've got. 9 out of 10, they'll be successful in it. But if they are not happy, that can affect their mental health, that can affect their performance, that can affect their relationship with people, that can even affect their relationship with wives and girlfriends and people around them, which is not, I wouldn't encourage it, to be honest. So I would say to my son, go ahead, as long as that is what you want to do, I will support you totally and utterly, and I will make sure you go there and break leg.
Okay. So my last question is, for anyone that is listening to this podcast today or whenever, and they're like, and they come from the kind of background that we come from, where their mom or their dad or the community is putting a lot of pressure on them. It doesn't matter if they're a man or woman, and they're just, and they need some advice. What would your advice be?
I would say, I would say follow your dream. Go with your gut feeling as a child. Your parents can guide you. If you enjoy being a doctor, pursue it rigorously. If you enjoy being a builder, process of building, or whatever profession you choose, make sure that it's something that will make you happy, something you can wake up in the morning and you can bury yourself into, and you will not you won't get bored in it. Just pursue it, and you'll find out that if you pursue it with everything you've got, throw everything you've got, it will yield success. And also you can go wholeheartedly with whatever you want to do, because everything these days you do you can derive a good life out of it. Don't I wouldn't say don't listen to mom or dad because they're there to guide you, or friends. Look at, if you have any profession, look at, there are always people who are in IT, who are doctors, who are lawyers. Go and sample it out. Think, can I do this for the rest of my life? Is this something I would enjoy doing? Don't look at money necessarily, because whatever you do it well. Money is the end product. But pursue that profession, put everything you've got. I can guarantee you'll be successful in it.
Okay, and one last question. Okay, so I just said to you about what advice would you give for children. So now, for parents that are, again, listening to this podcast, and they're like, yeah, but I want my son to be a doctor. I want my daughter to be a lawyer. Again, what would your advice be to the parents or to the older generation that are listening to this podcast?
Well, we should put our children's happiness and their well-being in the forefront of everything that we do. Being a doctor, being a lawyer, being successful, it depends on what your definition of success is. You can be a lawyer and you can suffer mental health, you can be unhappy, you can be, that profession can make you a monster to your loved ones and people around you. At the same time, you can take a profession that you enjoy and you be successful in it. You can be renowned all over the world doing it, even caring for people, as we've seen in the last 12 months, how people, nurses who are just nurses, NHS staff, ambulance, cleaners, people that work in supermarkets they are now our heroes, and they are doing a fantastic job making sure, keeping all of us safe and well, and making sure that everything that we have, we need, all the basics of life are there for us. they're not, yeah, the doctors do great jobs, but at the same time, there is also other key workers and other key professions that are equally as important as being a doctor or lawyer or high profile or title-based profession. As long as your child is happy, I'd rather have a child that is happy in what he or she is doing, stable, than to have a child that is in high profile, and is unstable, and that could maybe have a kind of detrimental thought or bad thought or bad background or bad feeling about other people because of influence. Or a lot of profession can put into a lot of pressure because you don't enjoy it. It's not something you want to do. And 9 out of 10, somebody pushed you into something you're not happy to do, whether as a child, when you become an adult, you realize somebody pushed me into this, I'm not interested in it, and it's going to end up in failure. We want people who are, whatever they do, to be successful in it and to enjoy doing it and to bring about a change around the world and in our community.
Well, thank you very much, Uncle Umar. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm just gonna stop the recording. Hold on.